start today by thanking you for all that you do and that your staffs and your newsrooms, you truly keep America free. And I know I see so many of you out and about in the worst of conditions, hot or cold, at last minute, and you are appreciated. So thank you for all that you do. Dawn asked me to talk a little bit about my most favorite topic, and as I reflected on it, it is really the reason that I'm with Joe Manchin on his staff after 12 years, and that's how can our office help West Virginians? So many of you probably even know this better than me, but I hope to give you some information that as you're out and about or your staffs are out and about, that if you find someone who needs help, you just refer them to us. And we frequently work with the press on West Virginians who need help, so keep sending them to us. So how do we do what we do? It is constant real-time communications. And I wish somebody would write a story about this because it would be a really funny story. But every morning at 9 a.m., the senator talks to his whole staff. I'm talking all of us. Every single morning, and we've got it down to about 15 minutes now, and during COVID, we actually did it twice a day. But without fail, our whole staff, all 80 of us, 70 to 80 depending on the day and how many staff we have at any given moment, we call in on a Zoom and we talk to the senator, and we have a very deliberate agenda that we go through. And if there's a staffer who's not on, he finds out. Like, he knows, he can sense who was not on the call. So it's constant real-time communication is how we keep him informed and he keeps us informed too, because it's important for us to know what he's doing. We may not know where he is, like you all know him very well. He's out and about all the time, but at least we talk once a day. So I gave you a map. Each office, as you know, is structured differently. The way that Senator Manchin structures, here you go, Tom. The way that he structures his office is primarily based on constituent services. We have 3 offices, one in Charleston, that's kind of our main hub. We have about 12, 13 staff there. We have one in Fairmont on Main Street, on Adams Street, and then we have one in Martinsburg. And we have a caseworker, we have outreach staff, and then we have operations staff in each of those locations. And then our economic development office is located in Charleston. So we have about 24 staff, 23, 24 part-time and full staff in the state, about the same amount in his DC office, and then about the same amount on his energy staff. He's currently chair of the energy committee, so he has a staff along with that. And I mentioned that each congressional office is different. Ours is focused on constituent services, and you can see that in our numbers. We have helped about 100,000 West Virginians directly with cases. So that means a West Virginian calls in, they need help with veterans benefits or Social Security, and we help them. So we do have a motto. It is, how may we help you? And that is how we keep our staff on track, focused on West Virginians. It's on our t-shirts. It's in our offices. As soon as you go in, we have a big carved wooden West Virginia in our Charleston office and in DC. It says, how may we help you? And it's that collective we and help. Those are the main words. So that's really what we're focused on. So I just wanted to talk briefly about kind of the 3 main offices, the 3 main areas of our offices, so that you know how congressional staff can help West Virginians. Our first, and as I've mentioned, our primary is constituent services. So casework. We'll make a big announcement when we hit 100,000. We're at like 98,423 this morning, but who's counting? I would say we'll hit that by the end of the year, but we're getting about 100 to 200 West Virginians a week who need help. That's not just someone calling in saying, oh my gosh, Joe made me mad, or oh my gosh, I'm so happy with him. That's people who actually need help. Veterans benefits are our top, Social Security is our second, and for some reason this summer, passports are our third. Many of you may have even come to us for passports. I think we've only not been able to help one West Virginian who needed their passport the next day, but so many people have been stranded this summer and not able to travel because they needed a passport. And I think the backlog is getting better, but that's been an unusual caseload for us this summer, and our staff has unfortunately become expert in passport processing. So if anybody needs a passport, if yours expires within 6 months of travel, please come to us now. Like, we really want to help you before you need it. And then another constituent service that we offer are flags. A veteran who passes away, a community leader, you know, a ceremony that's happening. We do have a budget for American flags, made in America too, and they are raised over the Capitol, and we give a very nice certificate if you ever need something like that. So come to us, we love doing that. We'll even present, the Senator sends us out with a poem from A. James Manchin that he has memorized since he was a boy, and we give that poem out when we give the flag. It's really kind of a sweet ceremony. We even have veterans who are turning 100. We just had this a couple months ago, come into the office, or that Joe will go see them and we'll give them a flag. So it's really kind of sweet. And another thing I wanted to mention is internships. We had over 20 interns in just our state offices alone this summer. And we see this as our legacy, building the next generation, bringing young kids in. We even take high school kids, bringing them in and igniting public service within them, showing them that you can make a difference. And we let these young students make a good news call. So one of the cases that I mentioned, we give them a script, and they'll call a West Virginian and say, Mr. Smith, the Senator wanted you to know that your $100,000 in back pay from the Veterans Administration has been approved. You'll now be getting so much money a month, and we were honored to serve you. So we have found, as we've developed this program through the years, that it's really, really a special thing for these kids. And so if anybody has any high school kids, grandkids, friends that might be interested in one of our offices or in DC, we'd love to have them come on board. And then the other thing I wanted to mention in constituent services is our service academies. Every year we send between 40 to 60 nominations forward from the Senator to West Point, the Naval Academy, Coast Guard Academy, and Air Force Academy. And I think he got about 25 kids. Well, these kids got in themselves. He forwarded their nomination. But we have a pretty high rate of getting kids in service academies. And we try and send you notices when the Senator nominates them. But we also try and let you know when they're there, because it's an amazing opportunity for these youth. And so the next kind of bucket of things that we do for West Virginians is outreach. We have I bet everybody here knows Brian Aloise. We have a whole network of outreach staff. Even Frank Jezereau, who was with the Senator when he was governor, he is our outdoorsman representative. But we try and send our staff into every nook and cranny of West Virginia. And so, you know, they're routinely out. They do Manchin Mobile Mondays. We try and hit every county at least once or twice a year. But we also do 1 to 2 big events a month. We started the year with Bill Gates here in Charleston, and we took him up to Glasgow to look at a power plant. My favorite event of all time was the Clay Center, the Skype with the International Space Station. It was an amazing event, and Morgan and just blew it out of the water. But we brought all these school kids in, I think 700? Yes, 700 of them, to the Clay Center. We set up this little informational fair for them. And then they actually got to Skype with an astronaut from the International Space Station. So it was, I want to do that again. We have to do that again. It was a really special event. But we try and find opportunities like that. We've held a job fair in Beckley. We've held over 75 job fairs since 2016. Some of you might remember the one we had here in Charleston that was just massive. And the MVP, the Senator just secured the MVP pipeline through various hoops and channels, but we pulled that together quickly and got him out to see that. And we're at the State Fair now. Stop by our booth. We're on the front porch of the West Virginia building talking to many people, some who are happy, some who are not, but we want to talk to especially the ones who are not happy. So we try and do at least 1 to 2 big events per month to get the senator's word out, to hear what West Virginians are saying. We'll bring greetings to any event, and Brian Alloise is the star attraction. Everybody wants him to come read a greeting at their event. A couple upcoming events that we have that you may be interested in. We have Academy Day in Morgantown on August 26th. We're bringing about 200 kids from across the state to WVU, and we're going to teach them how to be competitive to apply for the service academies. It's the only event like this in the entire nation, and we're really, really proud of it. And we even have senior leaders coming in from the Department of Defense to be there to make West Virginia kids more competitive. We have a big announcement. You mentioned the new River Gorge Regional Development Authority. We have a big funding announcement coming up on August 28th down there, where we're going to highlight how much federal funding has come into that region since the designation of the national park, and announce 24 earmarks for fiscal year 24. So that'll be a really neat event. And then we have a motorcycle ride for fallen service heroes on October 13th coming up. So we're going to do that again this year. And then the final thing in outreach is our economic development program. Many of you may know Andrew Robinson. He is our economic development director. He is routinely hustling and trying to find companies to come to West Virginia. Nucor, Form Energy. He's been working with all these companies, and so the senator will call anybody to try and get them to come here, and we have a pretty robust program to do that. And then finally, it'll kind of segue into our ARP discussion. The last bucket of how we help West Virginians is legislatively, and I can think of no better example of that than with AARP and Gayleen. As we were just talking before this, AARP has been advocating for broadband before advocating for broadband was cool. And they really pushed the senator to make that a priority, and he did. And so now $1.2 billion of money coming into the state to complete our broadband connections. And I know you'll talk a lot more about that. But in addition to broadband, though, one of the most meaningful things that I think I've worked on since I've been with Joe is with Gayleen and AARP. I mean, it was constant, and it took years. But on prescription drug negotiation with Medicare, that has already and will continue to bring the cost of drugs down for seniors. And it was literally because of Gayleen and Tom and Angela's relationship with Joe, and just their dogged, and I mean that as a compliment, advocacy to keep that issue in the forefront, because that's what it takes. You know, he gets hit with so many different issues that you have to stay on it, and that constant communication with our staff, hey, we need to meet with them, you know, and it's why it happened, and it's why he could champion it through the Inflation Reduction Act. And then $35 insulin. The cost of insulin has already come down for thousands and thousands of West Virginia, and that was another AARP initiative. So thank you for staying on top of that.
Thank you. Thanks.